creatively curious girl. I like to find new mediums, and I find new mediums occasionally that really set my soul on fire, and currently that's watercolor. I just started using watercolors maybe 3 months ago, and I'm going to tell you, it has been so much fun to dive into this new medium for me. And today we are going to test 3 different types of watercolor, and I'm going to give you my honest, unsponsored opinions on which one I think works best for me, and give you some tips to help you figure out what might be best for you. Hey there, I'm Gina. I'm the girl behind the Shabby Creek Cottage, and around these parts we make fun art, not fine art. And so if you like making fun art too, I would love to invite you to join us in our free community, which you can find in the description of the video. It's called the School of Fun Art. It's 100% free art classes. I do in-depth master classes there 3 times a month, and it's a lot of fun. There's like 33,000 awesome fun artists in there. We would love to add you to our crew. And if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit buttons and bells and all the YouTube-y things so that you can stay up to date whenever I post a new video, which I do about once a week or so. So let's get to today's video and let's test some watercolor. So I got these at 3 completely different places. This one came from Target. It's from their art supply line. I've not used a ton of their art supplies, so I can't tell you if it's supposed to be like beginner or not, but I think this is geared towards beginners. This is the Winsor and Newton. It is the student grade, so it's not like a cheap set, but it's not an expensive set. It's more mid-grade. This one is the Koi watercolor. It is a little more expensive. This is still not the most expensive watercolors you can get. This one was 20 bucks at Target. I'm gonna open it up if I can figure out how to open it up. I just bought it last night so that I could show you guys. And oh, it's actually kind of nice. I've not used this before. It comes with a couple of brushes, has all these pans. The thing I am worried about is it's in a wooden box, which means this box is going to get dirty and disgusting really quickly, which is fine. So I would say this is the cheaper brand, this is the medium, and this is the most expensive one I have. So we're gonna test to see how easily they lay on the paper, how quickly they dry, what the vibrancy of the color is, and how easy it is to work with. So those are the 4 parameters. Let's make a little note of that on our paper so I don't get lost. So I'm just gonna put ML, Winsor and Newton, and I'll just write out Koi. All right. So here we go, and I am using Strathmore watercolor paper. It's a mid-grade watercolor paper. It's decent. I did a review already on watercolor paper if you want to check that out. I'm also going to use my favorite brush, which is the Fine Touch Round. It's an 8-point. I think this actually came from Michael's. We're just going to swatch, and I'm going to try to pick a color. This vibrant green is typically in all 3. So, oh, that is not the color I thought it was. That's interesting. Let's do this one and see. These are pretty. These are really pretty. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's not the same colors that I expect. A lot of the same colors that are in this palette are already in this palette. Very similar color palettes. This one has a lot of those similar colors, but like I was looking for this, I'll show you this Winsor and Newton green. This is my favorite green. I use it all the time. They also have it in Koi. It's a little bit different variation, but it's basically the same color. I'm not seeing it here. So we'll pick a different color. Yeah, all right. I've got something similar to that in all 3. This is the Winsor and Newton version. And this is the Koi version. So that's pretty similar. I will say I don't think this is as pigmented, which is fine. You don't always need heavily pigmented. It just depends on what your goals are for your project. All right, so I'm going to put down a little plain water. I'm going to go in and pick up some of this blue. We're going to see how well it does. I'm going to do a thin line here. I'm going to see how much kind of a gradient I can get. Actually, I like this color. I don't have this color in any other kit. Sometimes that's the beautiful thing, is you don't necessarily always get the same colors, and a lot of times you need, I didn't do my lines, we're gonna do it though. You need different kits to get different colors. If you really want to do a lot of like landscapes, this color palette, they make one that's specifically, it's the cottman line from Winsor and Newton. They actually make one specifically for landscapes. So if you want to do a lot of landscapes, it's actually not a bad set to invest in, one that will more directly align with your goals. All right, the last thing I want to do is go back and see how colors layer on top of each other. So if we're layering one color on top of another, how does it react? Some will lay and build. Some watercolors are buildable, some are not. And you have to know that by knowing what your watercolor, how it reacts. This red is not really dry enough, so we'll do it with the green. But can you build upon it? That's the next question. This one, it doesn't really affect it much one way or the other. This one, I felt like it just kind of bled back into it, but I do know that I went a little heavier. Let me be fair here. I went a little heavier. This. So here's what I've got to say. If you are just a beginner and you've never picked up watercolor before, this set from Target is a pretty good deal. It comes with the two brushes, a thicker brush and a thinner brush. You get a ton more colors than you do with the Winsor and Newton cottman set. This one also comes with a little travel brush, which I have used a lot, and I really like the brush. I haven't used these brushes, so I'm not familiar with those. But I also like that you have different compartments, and you have a lot more compartments than you do, because you really only have 3 spots here. All of these you can mix different colors. So this one you get 24 colors. This one you get 30. This one is at least twice the price of this one. It is not worth the price difference for a beginner. If you like to pick up hobbies and dabble in them, I don't know that I would move directly to this one. If you want to, like, you do you, go you. I'm all for buying art supplies. Hence why I have 3 different watercolor palettes. But I do want it to be known that this one is a really decent palette for 20 bucks. Like, some of the colors in here are beautiful. And yes, you don't get all the exact same colors, but you could get a more similar to this emeraldy green if you just mix some blue and some yellow. You could totally get something pretty similar. Or, by the way, you can order these little pans, and these pans are interchangeable. You can order individual pans if you choose to from good art supply stores, and then you could pop one of these out, a color that you don't like, and you could pop a Winsor and Newton palette in there. If you just wanted this Viridian green, for instance, you could absolutely pop one of these out and pop these back in. I really do like the wooden box. I think it's really pretty. Over time, this will get messy. I'm okay with it though, because I think it's beautiful. The messier it gets, the more beautiful it typically is. So, I mean, obviously this one is a hot mess, and you can absolutely tell I have used the heck out of this one. This one I use sometimes. This is my go-to palette so far. I think this could become my go-to palette if I switched out a few colors. Like, I cannot see me using this vibrant purple, but if I switched it out for a couple of the Winsor and Newton colors that I adore, I could see when I'm traveling specifically, I'll be able to pop these pans out that I don't use, pop some of these pans in that I do, and I love these mixing trays on this. So, and plus, I'm a sucker for a wooden box. So if I were gonna buy my first kit today, I'm so pleasantly surprised that with the watercolor paper and now with the watercolors themselves, I'm picking the cheapest option. I can't believe it, but here we are again, and I'm choosing the cheapest option. So this is my winner for the best value kit. This is my winner if you want a more true to the palette kit. The colors are just way more vibrant, and it really does bleed well. You can tell how the fluidity of the color. Oh, it's beautiful. This one is a very middle of the ground. So if you want the good, sturdy, dependable, reliable, awesome colors, this is your winner. But for beginners, I would absolutely say this is a great first kit, and I would highly recommend it. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out my watercolor paper test. I test a really expensive brand all the way down to a store brand, and I tell you which one I think is best. And if you want to catch that video, you can find it in the description of this video. Or if you have any other questions or tests you would like me to try so that you can see and I can be your craft test dummy, then leave a comment below as well. Hit the buttons and ring the bells and all that good stuff so that you don't miss my next video. And I will see you next time. Bye, friends.